Hello everyone and welcome back to the Blue Bounty Hunter channel. And how high do you think this clone's kill count is? 1 battle droid, 10 battle droids, 200,000 battle droids? Okay, even I admit that's a little bit much, but this beast is named Captain Fordo, and as memorable as he was in the 2003 Clone Wars micro series, only 1,000 of his surely much higher kill streak is actually shown here. And Fordo is a man that went against warriors like Dirge and General Grievous, fought in huge battles over the years, and also served as a great leader despite being more of an introvert.
Great, I'm happy for him.
Personality-wise, the captain, also known as ARC-77, was very straightforward when it comes to tactics and preferred overwhelming firepower over complex strategies that had more chance to fail. He became famous for not only his intense approach, but also his undying courage, which meant he could operate with full efficiency in the face of battle. With this said, however, Fordo would still retreat if it was in fact necessary, and since clones could develop their own personalities, it makes sense that some individuals would be introverted or extroverted. And I think it's safe to say that Captain Fordo was an introvert, as he would rarely talk, especially in battle, and preferred to use hand signals or very short orders to communicate. He would also talk to his commanding officers when addressed, and Fordo was also modest and would rather have a deceased clone that passed on the battlefield be given the awards than to himself. He had great faith in the Jedi, but would also disobey orders on very rare occasions if it would harm the situation further for the clones. The captain wore ARC Trooper armor, as he himself was an Alpha class ARC Trooper, and this armor was lighter but also better protected than normal Phase 1 armor. And this set had red markings similar to a clone trooper captain, but with additions like the comma and range finder. This advanced recon commando armor also had a gray pauldron grappling hook comlink built into the left gauntlet, and also a belt with holsters for his DC-17s that he, like Rex, possessed. To continue this chain of a dripped out clone, he also had an ammunition pouch on his pauldron, and also a portable holographic projector, as well as some bussin' white binoculars. He usually only used his 2 pistols, but in the last days of the war at the Battle of Coruscant, our boy would go one-handed with a DC-17 and also a DC-15 rifle. ARC-77 also got Phase 2 armor with again red markings, and switched out his comma, ammo patch, and dual holsters for a bandolier and a belt with 1 pouch to hold a pistol. And I know this is random, but since we're on the topic of drip, have you ever noticed that Vader and Dooku both have chains? I mean, these guys are the real ones that are dripped out. Also, with this Phase 2 armor that looks even cooler than the Phase 1 in my opinion, which is of course always right, it came equipped with a bark helmet minus his old rangefinder, and also had Jag eyes, which were earned from his heroic acts on Hippori. This clone made his debut in the 2000 2D animated microseries Clone Wars in both seasons, and was voiced by Andre Soglizero. Might have said that wrong, very sorry. And yeah, before being named in the Guide to the Grand Army of the Republic. So I actually watched this series for the first time back in like December on Disney Plus, and I must say I really liked it. I mean, I always thought it looked cool, but it's just that kind of thing that you don't get around to, and then I did, and it's really a great show, so I definitely recommend watching it. It only takes like an hour or two. He had a captain's rank, but was mistakenly called commander a few times in the show, leading to him being the task force commander on Munilist in lore. The vintage figure for his character, he is seen with a small chin beard, which is the best we have to work with for his appearance under the helmet. And while this is a little bit odd in some people's opinions, we've seen stranger stuff from clone troopers, let's be honest, with some of those hairstyles, so I guess it really isn't all that bad. He really was very resourceful and had many different blasters and other weapons, and a good personality too, because he was extremely brave and not afraid to take charge in a battle, which makes sense because he was a captain. At the beginning of the Clone Wars in 22 BBY, Obi-Wan sent a huge army to Munilist to defeat the intergalactic banking clan, who was making a concerning amount of droids for the Separatists at the time, as was anyone else in the Separatist Council. Captain Fordo led a group known as the Munilist 10 that was made up of him, 2 ARC lieutenants, and also 7 other clone troopers. In case you're not aware, the ARC lieutenants had the blue markings of a lieutenant, as you expect, with of course a comma, pauldron, and rangefighter. Their objective was to break off from Kenobi's main force and make their way through the battlefield, or in this case the city of Harnaden, to the Banking Clan headquarters as a rendezvous point. On the way down, the group's LAAT was shot down, and they had to hesitantly get out when multiple droid snipers shot down on them, killing CT-43. But then the captain ordered another clone to fire a missile launcher and take out the hostiles, which destroyed all the battle droids, and also the building around them was damaged significantly. The Munilist 10 continued along the streets before coming to an AAT, which was destroyed by one of the lieutenants, and then, after using a commando recon droid, Captain Fordo, would lead his men to the base of a tower where a cannon had been spotted. This was then rigged with explosives before Fordo and his men would rappel up the tower as the target was incinerated behind them. The troops then met up with Kenobi at the agreed point on top of Sand Hill's tower before blasting through the roof into the Moon War Room and then taking out the droids, and Captain Fordo then grabs Sand Hill and brings the leader to Obi-Wan. Dirge, a bounty hunter turned separatist commander that was Gendai and 2,000 years old, would then jump into the room.
Hello there.
And after Fordo's men thought he was dead from their blaster fire at him, he would get back up in Gendai fashion, and Dirge then killed more clones and swallowed General Kenobi, quote unquote, and Fordo would try grappling the enemy with this kind of electricity type thing, but then Obi-Wan would break free with the Force and destroy Dirge, which would of course defeat him. And in case you don't know, the Gendai, if I'm saying that right, was a species that was also featured in Jedi Survivor, where you have to go up against that one guy, I already forgot what his name is, but yeah, he's not that hard to beat. Unfortunately, you have to fight him twice though, and that gets a little bit annoying. But this really was the biggest appearance for Captain Fordo in the series, as it's about 10 minutes or so of just straight up Captain Fordo action, so that was very nice. Dackman, Barrick, and other Jedi on Hipori needed rescuing from General Grievous, who had flanked them at this same time, which is when Fordo and 10 lieutenants would dispatch to the rocky planet to take on Grievous, and Fordo, being his aggressive self, decides to bring along an arc heavy gunner and also a reciprocating quad blaster to make things more fun, let's just say. The attack force landed inside the crashed Acclimator class ship where the life forms were detected, making sure to stay clear of the droid army outside, which was very massive, and Captain Fordo and his men searched the rubble for survivors. Then while approaching Grievous, he had his men fan out when they would see a wounded Ki-Adi-Mundi fighting the maniac droid general. The clones open fire on Grievous, who dodges and also cuts through many of them, and they also shoot a bunch of cables at Grievous, similar to what we see in the 3D animated show later on. But then Fordo's gunship comes in and shoots its own cannons at Grievous, which causes the cyborg to flee. Ki-Adi-Mundi would be determined to chase after Grievous, but Fordo would deny his request in a rare instance of disobeying orders, since his judgment told him that the recovered Jedi would not survive for long without help, and that was actually Aayla Secura as well as Shakti. I mean, I guess that's what ARC troopers are there for, having better judgments in combat situations, making them more deadly and independent. After Ki-Adi-Mundi was convinced and gets in the LAAT, the captain then sets off explosives, clearing a path for them and killing 1,000 battle droids in the process. So this was another very big fight for Captain Fordo, which is kind of crazy that he had to do this right after the Battle of Munilist, but he did do a very good job in attempting to bring down General Grievous, and this is like OP General Grievous as well, so keep that in mind. Also in 19 BBY at the Battle of Coruscant, hundreds of droid fighters would fly through the buildings of Coruscant as legions upon legions of droids stormed the streets. During the midst of this chaos, Fordo was actually serving on the planet at the time and would help his fellow troopers defend Sector 4. The captain then becomes hard pressed to destroy his attackers and then calls for reinforcements after realizing his position was being overrun by multiple super battle droids on all sides. He then grabbed his DC-15A rifle and used it to punch a B-2 over before holding his ground while wielding his pistol and fallen comrade's pistol in both hands and blasting down battle droids on all sides. And he then decides that a retreat is inevitable. I mean, are you hearing how cool this guy is? Already imagine how terrifying it would be to keep your cool mere feet away from hundreds of enemies that are programmed to kill you, but to also just be that great at your job is just so sick. I mean, he really is one of my favorite clones in existence. Really the only guy I like more is Commander Wolf, and the retreat from this earlier would be countermanded by Yoda, who arrived riding a Kai book, and alongside Mace Windu, the two Jedi would help out Fordo tremendously by taking the left flank while him and his men succeeded on the right side. So this really is the last time we see Captain Fordo in action, and I think it's the best scene personally because we get to see him fighting off all of these super battle droids, and it really is weird that his rank never moved up. I mean, I guess it makes sense because isn't it the same thing with Captain Rex? So, and obviously he was serving under Anakin, but I don't know, I just would have assumed that Fordo would become a commander or something like that after all his years of service, and also just based off of how skilled he is. But anyway, that's it for this video. You will subscribe to the channel and watch all my videos. Okay, maybe I don't have the best Jedi mind trick, but I post every Friday and sometimes on Sunday too at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, I post shorts on Saturday, but yeah, see ya.